Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Our guest is going to be here soon. He was just kicked off, but I wanted to tell you a quote. Lee Iacocca, the famous auto magnate, he says, in times of great stress and adversity, it's always best to keep busy, plow your way through your anger and your energy, and put it into something positive. Pretty good advice. Hi, I'm Trish Gleason. Today we have with us a holistic wellness expert, Dr. Thomas Lankering. He's from Colorado. And while he's trying to log back in, let me go ahead and tell you a little bit about him, because we're excited to have him here today to give us some positive news and some things that we can do to make ourselves better, keep ourselves healthy. He's had a TV show. For 36 years, he had a TV show. And he's a specialist in bioenergetic. He focuses on brain-based wellness. That's pretty exciting. He's also an author. He wrote a book called The Happy Brain, Where Happiness Comes From. We're excited to have him, Dr. Thomas Lankering. So I do not know where he is, but I'm sure he'll be logging in one moment. In the meantime, I wanted to let everybody know that this is an exciting time, that we're stuck at home, me as well, but that we can take it and turn it into something positive. And there it is. And have time with our families to be able to think of everything to do that we really just didn't have time to do before. So let's see here, Dr. Lankering. There he is. Hi, Dr. Lankering. How are you?
Okay, great. Doing great, Trish.
I've already introduced you, so they all think you're amazing. So
okay, great.
Welcome, Dr. Lankering.
Happy to
I've
be
already
here.
introduced you, so say hello to everybody.
Hello, folks.
Okay, great.
Great to be here. Excited to share some great, positive, empowering information today.
Keep everybody positive. That's right.
Yep.
So let's get started. One of the things I wanted to ask you was, I noticed on your website, you talk about something about baseball.
Well, yes.
And how you look at people's lives like a baseball field. Can you explain that a little further?
Sure. What I do, I'm just fixing my lighting a little bit here.
Okay.
So what I do is I cover the bases. And if you think of a baseball field, most people can relate or know what, baseball is. And so the different bases that I work with, home base is physical or structural integrity. And so that's the cornerstone as far as good health is concerned. But then the other bases, which are the other types of stress that we deal with. First base is mental and emotional stress. Second base are toxins, things that are in the body that should not be. Will include things like heavy metals, environmental toxins, also acupuncture meridian points that get congested, and also electromagnetic radiation or EMFs. And then third base is biochemical nutritional. These are things that are not in the body that should be. And so my approach is to address all of those areas because those are the stressors that are always bombarding us. So
Okay.
that's the baseball field, or we call it the home run formula.
Yeah, it's a real great, and we'll hit on a few of those things as we talk a little bit more. So can you tell everybody what our main focus is today during this wonderful interview?
Yes. Well, I think, I'm going to refer to it as the Budweiser phenomenon. We hear a lot about things going on in the news these days. So just because you're some people who other words kind of get their attention, we're just going to call it the Budweiser phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I think one of the situations that's happening is that, there's so much stress, and stress causes 90% of the illness. So people are looking at what they can do and what's going on. And a lot of what I think is important, and I think probably where a lot of this discussion will go here, is what can we control and what can we not control? When we get clear about what we can and cannot control, I think it gives a much more sense of ease and will empower us, and I think help put things into perspective a little bit here.
Empower us, please.
Yeah, that's the name of the game.
Right.
So my first thought would be, the science of psychoneuroimmunology is really about the immune system,
Mhm.
what's going on. So psycho is the mind, psyche, right? Neuro is the nervous system, and immuno is the immune system. So the mind, the nervous system, and the immune system are all interconnected with what's going on. And with that, the psyche means, what are we thinking? What are the thoughts that we have? And the thoughts we have are closely tied into how our nervous system is functioning. And that ties into the stress or the fight or flight survival mode, also called the sympathetic. We won't get technical, we'll just call it the stress system in the body for survival. And there's the healing system, which deals with recovery and recuperation and rejuvenation and detoxification and digestion, anti-inflammation, also the parasympathetic nervous system. So we have the stress and the healing. And when we are focusing on thoughts that are stressful, such as fear and worry and anxiety and victim and all this type of things, it empowers the stress system and decreases the power of the healing system in our body. So.
Okay. So you're saying if we want to be optimum to where our potential for getting sick at any times in our life,
Right.
we need to really understand how those things work. Or right. And in the before now, before now, we were conscious about our health, but we need to get more conscious about things that we can do to prevent problems and sickness.
Yeah, and as an example, I think this is an opportunity for people. People have been running around crazy, and most of our society has been in this stress mode, and they have not paid attention to taking care of themselves, to doing what they need to support the healing systems in the body. So we talk about times that we have to be at home now. Some people go, oh my gosh, we go, hey, you know what? It's not so bad. Let's take a little bit of time and take care of her. Maybe we do a detox. Maybe we do some meditation. Maybe we do some journaling. Maybe we get clear of the vision that we want. But that ties, and we can get into what I find a very powerful tool called transformational vocabulary, which are the words that we use.
Transformation of what?
Transformational vocabulary.
Okay. What
vocabulary
is
that? Changes that transforms you. And I can give you an example if you'd like that.
Yes.
Right. So for example, let's say people are using the word stressed. Right? Stressed. We got all this going on, and what are some other words? Stress puts us into that sympathetic stress mode, that survival mode. Well, what are some other words you could say? Well,
what are some words I've been using? Let's just go there.
Sure. What are some words?
We're all freaking out. We feel claustrophobic. We're don't know what to do. We're scared. So those are a lot of you. So you're saying don't say the negative words?
Exactly. All right. So instead of saying we're stressed or we're all freaked out or we're worried, all right, we could say, hey, we might not have a clear picture of what's going on. I mean, that takes all that energy of stress. You go, I'm not really clear of what's going on. Or to say, hey, instead of worried, I might need to pay a little more attention to my health.
We talk like this to our family and friends that we're in close proximity with right now, that's for sure. It'll help things. It'll help smooth things out and help our anxieties and theirs too.
Yeah, start with ourselves as to the self-talk that we're using.
Okay. Transformational vocabulary. So number one, we need to start talking right.
Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Just for example, if you think of the words that we're using, right? If I were to say horrible has an energy to it. Really horrible.
I know.
Right?
I'm guilty. Say, hey, I need to turn that around because I'm guilty too.
Yeah. And you say, hey, you know what? This is not so good.
Right.
Has a whole different energy pattern, from horrible to, this is not so good.
Yeah.
It changes. And it really, what it does is it really has an impact on your nervous system and swings the pendulum or balances out that seesaw from the stress survival to this healing system in our body.
Oh, you mean our brain knows when we're saying negative things?
Totally, totally. That's what psychoneuroimmunology is.
Okay,
Yes,
so,
even Bruce Lipton and his epigenetics. Maybe people are, but the new science of what's going on is that it's not the genes that tell us. We can't blame it on our parents and our grandparents. But the two things that really determine the health of our bodies and our systems are thoughts and the environment, which means the toxins. So the thoughts we use have a huge role as to what's going on there.
okay, so the next time we interview you, I'm gonna have everybody list some of the positive words they're switching into. And I'm gonna
Right.
do the same thing.
Yeah. So just give me 2 or 3 words from you've been using: freaked out, worried, and upset. What's another word you could use
Well,
for freaked out?
I'm gonna start saying, well, it's certainly a challenge, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Challenge is a good word.
Challenge is a great word,
Yeah, let's start saying that, everybody. Challenge.
Right. And you start using it with intention that go, hey, and I think that it's what's important too is the mindset. Sometimes people have a transformational vocabulary leads into the mindset or helps to create the mindset because
Mhm.
it's focus on. And if we're focusing on all the stuff you're hearing about in the media, well, guess what's going to happen? As opposed to maybe taking this time at home, taking this alone time, and start focusing on what you do want to create. What's lacking in life, whether you're at home with family or friends or your partner. Maybe you've been lacking some time. Maybe you've been lacking some communication. Maybe it gives you an opportunity, to spend some nights reading or doing
Mhm.
something different that,
Okay.
what's you haven't read, and
Crafts with your children or grandchildren, right?
totally, totally, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So it starts
Okay,
changing what
next
we're
thing.
focusing on.
I actually am going to tell you this. I saw on Facebook a picture of a real cute, skinny lady in a red little dress, and then it said March, and then it said September in another picture, and she was much heavier in the same outfit, only you could see she gained a lot of weight. So
Uh-huh.
the moral of the story is watch out, everybody. You're going to gain a bunch of weight between now and September because we're stuck home, right? So I
Sure.
know you're a weight specialist. Okay.
Right.
You're an expert in weight loss,
Mhm.
right?
Yes. Right.
What can you suggest to people that they don't become that picture I just suggested? Because I'm
Yeah.
not going to be, right?
Right.
What can we do?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Great point. And again, I think that one of the situations is that if we look at stress changes the hormones and cortisol and so forth and facilitates weight gain.
Uh-huh.
But, you're out there shopping right now for food. Be aware, look at, because a lot of times, this comfort food or things that we're always used to.
Right.
And maybe not do the bag of chips because, for example, just sugar is totally destructive to your immune system. So if you're concerned about this Budweiser garbage that's going on out there, and you're really concerned about your immune system, the first thing is that when you're out there food shopping is don't get anything with sugar and don't get the processed foods. So, try to get fresh foods where you can. And then I think some of the frozen foods and organic is the way to go. But don't start getting cookies and chips and Coca-Cola and ice cream and thinking that you're just going to sit there and pig out until this thing, goes over, because you will end up. But again, that's an example of being the victim or the victor and being aware and making choices
Mhm.
and being aware of what you're putting in your body. So I think that opportunity, if people start realizing that they can turn out, but you could switch that picture. You could have the lady who's the
Yeah.
heavy and not healthy and everything, and they could where they're at now. And by the time you get done, maybe every morning they're exercising at home that they never did before.
Right.
Maybe
Good idea.
so that whole type of situation, you have a choice. It's not just willy-nilly or whatever happens. You don't have to end up a certain way. You can create if you want to be healthier out of that. And I happen to think that maybe more of an emphasis on our immune systems, taking care of ourselves, these types of situations can be a real opportunity for a lot of us to really make some changes. We're forced into making those changes.
Right. Okay, let's get back to the sugar deal. So I saw somewhere in the email that I think that that large company BrainTap is having a sugar summit. So you all are really pushing the problems, really, and I love sugar too, everybody. So sugar's a problem. Sugar can make our immune system weak. Is that what you said?
Totally, totally. Now let's, before we go any further, what's another word you could use besides loves sugar?
Wow. I don't know. What would that be?
I don't know, maybe you say, well, instead of love sugar, you say, well, I eat it often, I have it, but loving sugar, that, that has an energy to it, right? The interesting thing, or one of the interesting things, is that the sugar industry and the food industry know that sugar affects the brain like cocaine does. And so it creates wave patterns and destruction in the brain and in the nervous system that again compromises the healing and increases the stress. And so it makes the body crave these different foods and these sugars. So even one of the other things that people could start doing, because if people are used to having sugar and carbohydrates, which would be like your bread and your chips and snacks like that, because that creates carbohydrate that the body uses for fast fuel, to transition to fats, good fats, coconut, olive oil, more fruits and vegetables, right, where you can get some sugar, but it's in a whole food form. So it's not this pure sugar that's just an injection into your body. And changing the way that our body burns its fuel from a high burning fat or high burning sugar carbohydrate to a slow burning, fuel efficient fat burning. And then what it allows people to do is to go on a fast, right? You could do a 1 day fast, you could do a 3 day fast, 5 day. I've heard of a 14 fast twice a year is very good for your body. So, that's another situation. But the sugar situation, is tough for people because it's conditioned the brain. And I think that's why BrainTap gets involved with doing brain fitness programs.
Right. So can you explain, because, we're all hard-headed when it comes to sugar, because honestly, it must be addictive because I crave it too sometimes.
Right.
So you're going to have to really slap us in the head to get us to understand. So tell us one more time. Sugar in the brain does what to the brain? It makes the brain waves do what?
Deteriorates it. It just degenerates your brain. It's as simple as that. Sugar degenerates your brain.
Really?
Yeah. It's like cocaine.
You're sure about that?
Daniel Amen, you can check out Daniel Amen where he does functional brain imaging and different situations with the brain. It looks like, a healthy brain will be full, whereas an injured brain will have like holes in it. It looks like Swiss cheese.
Oh, really? And is that somebody that ate a lot of sugar?
Yeah. Or drugs or different things. You can see the effects on the brain.
Okay, so if we're sick or we don't want to get sick, the best thing would be to eat the least amount of sugar possible.
Exactly.
Is it okay for us to eat stevia instead of that?
Well, that might help to transition, but as you start transitioning and getting away, you won't even like stevia anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on to
let me give you one simple step to help with that transition.
Yeah, it's hard.
Organic dark chocolate.
It's challenging, I mean. It's not hard, it's challenging.
Changes things. But organic dark chocolate would be an option, and that I will like that. And my understanding is that organic and it's clean, and the higher percentage of cacao in dark chocolate is an alternative. So say in the evening when you want to, you can have a square or a bite of organic dark chocolate.
Okay.
that's something that, can help you through that.
Make you think. Okay, great. We've got that down. So far we're up to transformational words and thoughts.
Right.
Maybe do some crafts and games with your family and do things you haven't had time to do. It could be cleaning out your cabinet to make you feel more organized, right?
Get rid of the clutter, right?
Less stress. Then also the issue with stress makes you gain weight, or it can. So we want to minimize your stress. And then the sugar issue that we just talked about. So what else do you want to talk about? Let's talk about how do we reduce this? Give us some more ways that we can reduce stress.
Right. Well, I think the name of the game is to bring the nervous system back into balance.
Okay.
Chiropractor, that's what we really function on, because we work with the brain and the nervous system. And so, a balanced nervous system is going to be healthy, it's going to be vibrant, it's going to have a good attitude, it's going to have a good immune system, it's going to have good energy, we're going to sleep well. And that's a healthy, balanced immune system.
Okay.
So, there's kind of 4 different phases or 4 different states that a nervous system get into. So if we have, say, a healthy nervous system up above, and then down below, we can have an under-aroused nervous system, we can have an unstable nervous system, and we can have an over-aroused nervous system. So just think of, if we're over-aroused and emotions and anxiety and not sleeping well and aches and pains, would be an example of over-aroused. Under-aroused would be lethargic. You could picture what that might look like. And an unstable, might be kind of like a bipolar type of situation and very emotional. So emotions would tie into under-aroused, unstable, and over-aroused. And all of those, especially the unstable and the over-aroused, leads into an exhaustion of the nervous system, which is where a lot of your autoimmune conditions come in, your rheumatoid arthritis, your diabetes, all these types of conditions, cancers, are usually in a state of an exhausted nervous system. So I think that one of the best things that people can be doing is getting their chiropractic adjustments, because the adjustments are not just about aches and pains, but really those adjustments are creating messages that go up to the brain to balance the brain out. So, one of the best things you can do.
Mm-hmm. So I unfortunately or fortunately sometimes just say what I'm thinking. So I have gone to the I've gone to the chiropractor for 40 years.
Right.
But I do know some people, I have arguments or just I have conversations with them that they don't think it makes sense. So when you're telling me these adjustments, I know they help me amazingly, right? But you're saying that you can get an adjustment and it's helping your nervous system and your brain. I didn't know about all that. So tell us what that means.
Yeah, and that's, what the new neuroscience and what a lot of the more recent research on chiropractic, chiropractic has always been thought of bone out of position, pinches the nerve, push the bone back in, and the nerve is no longer pinched. Well, a lot of really what's happening is that there's an imbalance in the brain, and that imbalance in the brain creates an imbalance in the body. Or another way of saying it is, when the brain is balanced, the body is balanced. And so chiropractic has worked for so long on that premise. And now what we're learning is it's not just providing some relief, but it is really more than ever impacting the nervous system and getting the system optimizing the energy flow and so forth. Like I was just
mentioning. That's why I guess for 15 or 20 years you've been studying more and more and more about the brain, because you realize it has a connection. Right.
For example, I use a heart rate variability in my office, which can measure the stress in the people. And so I can do a pre-evaluation with a heart rate variability. It looks like, things that would be like blood pressure and brain patterns and so forth. And then do my adjustments, my chiropractic adjustments. And I do light adjustments because, if I want you to go in the other room, I could either pick you up and throw you there, or I could tap you on the shoulder and go, Trish, would you mind going over there? A lot easier on you and me, and we get the message. Our nervous system gets the message. And so I can do an adjustment. I can do some of my emotional release work with the NET or neuroemotional technique and a brain tap, which creates neuroplastic changes in the brain, and then do a post reading on the heart rate variability. And I've never seen where it has not made a change to balance out the nervous system.
Is that right?
Really what we're working with. And that's what's really needed now because our nervous systems are so stressed out.
So that brings me to the question, if people that don't live near you, Dr. Lankering is near Denver, Colorado, right?
Aspen, up in the mountains.
Colorado, in a town called Basalt.
Right, just outside of Aspen. Right.
Okay, so Aspen. So we can't get there, but maybe some of the people listening would like to have some of the services that you're talking about.
Right.
By you or somebody else. Can they just go ahead and email you and you'll refer them to some other doctor in their area?
Yeah, and I have some things too that I work with people around the country.
Remotely, okay. So what's
Around
your
the world
email
for that.
address?
I'm sorry?
Email address?
Dr. Adjust, DRADJUST at Sopris, SOPRIS.net. Dr. Adjust at
And
Sopris.
I'll put that underneath as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about for bases, the mental, the toxins, the biochemical, right? But I
Right.
wanted to ask you about something on your website. It's called a foot bath.
Uh-huh.
So what is this exactly?
Well, that goes along with second base. You know, the world that we live in now is more toxic than ever.
Mhm.
And the foot bath is a type of way that it's a device and it's electromagnetic because that's how our bodies function. And our bodies are 70 to 80% water. Most of the toxins are acidic or have a positive charge. And so you sit in a chair with your feet in a bucket of water. There's an electrical array. You put your feet in, and it acts like a magnet, and it pulls the toxins out of your body. I mean, I'm amazed because I've been doing this for at least 20 years. Try to do it once a week, and I eat clean and everything else, and I'm still amazed. I mean, what comes out and what ends up in this bucket? It's like a brown, sludge. I mean, for some people when they start, it's a sludge. So it's pretty amazing.
I'm going to have to be a testimonial and confess. I already knew what the foot bucket was because about 8 years ago, I, for some reason, couldn't sleep, and I was watching this program in the middle of the night, and I watched it happen. And sure enough, the lady's bucket of water turned coal black, like tar.
Right.
And I woke up the next day, and the kind of person I am, I just go find something until I can find it. Well, I found a place, and it worked. The water turned black.
Right.
And I went about 10 times over a few years, but the company moved out of town. There isn't one here in Gainesville anymore that I know of that does that.
Right. Right.
And it worked amazingly.
They can contact me and I can connect them with the company so that they could get one and have it at home. And a lot of different ones out there. The one that I work with, I think, is probably one of the more effective, powerful. It might be a little more expensive, but you get what you pay for.
Right. Or people in your area can come see you, but
sure. But I do one once a week.
I need to start doing that again, especially now.
We have to detoxify.
Now, if you detox and you put your feet in the bucket like I have, and it turns whatever color, because it turns different colors, different times, depending on what toxins are in your body. Does that mean it took some of my good minerals out of my body too?
Here's my understanding is that there's an optimal range, it works with pH. So we have an optimal range, about 7.2 or so. And so anything in the acidic range, all right, so it attracts and pulls that out. And then it switches over to the alkaline range. We don't usually have as much, and then finishes up. So it goes on both sides of the range. And if people are doing an intense detoxification, we might go for a few weeks and then take a break, also have them taking a multivitamin and so forth. But it's a pretty healthy way, and they don't experience a lot of the detox symptoms that some people do with a heavy detox process. You don't get headaches or things like that. I have a few other detox protocols that I work with on a regular basis, on a daily basis, that I think are important.
So if it did take out your good minerals, if you take a vitamin, daily vitamin, then it's hopefully going to replace it or your other vitamins, right?
Yeah, neutral things or healthy things are going to be in that optimal range.
Oh, okay.
Fine,
You
not
could
to
get one of
step
those
out
right
that
away,
box.
or find some, maybe you'll know somebody in Gainesville, Florida that has, I can go pay to get it done once a week.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so I think, so is it called ion cleansing or something like that?
Ion cleanse, right?
Okay. I'm going to do that right away. Okay, what is, can you talk about, I know you do this, kinesiology,
It's easy for you to say.
whatever,
Say
huh?
that as fast, right? So kinesiology, muscle testing,
Kinesiology. Tell
right?
us what that is, because you're also an expert in kinesiology.
Yes, and kinesiology, I guess maybe the best way to explain it is that I become like an electrician for the body.
Okay.
And I have ways of finding out what circuits are, I call it blown out, or when circuits are congested, what circuits are overloaded, because a lot of stress affects us, like we're putting plugs in the outlet. And you put another plug and another plug and another plug. Eventually you put one plug in too many and you blow out the circuit.
Mm-hmm.
Kinesiology is a type of reflex testing. Most of us have been to the doctor's office. They tap you on the knee and you kick them in the shin, right? They tap you on the and you
Yeah.
punch those, right? Those are nerves and muscles and reflexes. The kinesiology is another type of muscle reflex testing. And there are reflex points on the body and on the head in all different areas. And so my specialty is understanding how to ask the body questions and for the body to give me the answers. So when people come to me, I'm not sitting there saying, I know it all. I'm saying your body knows it all. Let's ask your body what's happening, and let's go through the bases of home base, first base, second base, third base, right? Structural stress, emotional stress, toxins and infections, and then biochemical, nutritional, and ask the body what we need to be doing. And the body will tell us, what's going on there. So, yeah.
So like so sometimes you do remote consultations, like right now you'd be talking to a potential patient and advising them on things that they could do based on their answers that they give you to your question?
Well, I would not, I don't necessarily work remotely, with the muscle testing type of situation. That's kind of where we've got to be, kind of face to face. There are some things that I can work with, but from that muscle testing type of situation. I mean, if we're working in the quantum realm, and energetics, that's, for a conversation to be had. But I don't necessarily work like that with people remote. But I do have things such as the brain tap, the ion cleanse that I get. Hemp oil is a huge thing. I can get people the right nutrition. There are things that I can work with people remotely to use, but not the face-to-face type of work though.
Okay, that makes good sense. So on your website, it says you're a emotional therapy specialist as well. Well, what does that mean?
Yes.
Because
And
we need a lot of emotional therapy right now.
in a huge way, And I think I look at emotions from a different standpoint from what most people traditionally look at, because a lot of people will look at emotions from the psychological aspect, what's going on in the mind, whereas from the physiological, which is how the emotions are affecting the function in the body. And an example or basis for this, Dr. Scott Walker, who developed neuroemotional technique, or NET, says we have three brains. One is the brainstem, so that keeps us alive if we're in a coma, keeps our heart beating, lungs pumping, and so forth. The second brain is what most people think of as far as the neocortex, which deals with reasoning and logic and understanding and comprehension. And that's what most people think of the brain. But the third brain is the midbrain, or the limbic system, where the subconscious emotions deal with. And so my studies indicate that 95% of the time, the subconscious emotions are driving the bus. We think we know what's going on, and that's just selective consciousness. because it's really subconscious emotions, and only 5% of that conscious awareness is really a function. And those subconscious emotions can be a million times more powerful. So we can try to do things and consciously, and there's no question, going back to what we started with earlier in this discussion, that what we focus on and the words that we use play a big role as to the emotions and even just the physiology. I can be all happy or I can be all tired and sluggish. So the positions, the physiology, the posture that we become consciously aware of. But the emotional work that I do uses acupuncture meridian points, spinal levels, pulse points, and it's a way of going through and asking the body the questions. So it's not like saying, okay, Trish, tell me what happened. And then you got to, spew the whole thing out there. And I don't know if it's that effective because it's only dealing with 5% of the brain. Whereas this work really gets in and it resets the circuit. So if I say, show me what happiness looks like, or show me what worry or fear or anger, those are all energetic patterns that our body gets into. So this work resets the circuit. So it doesn't take away the emotions. It doesn't take away the memories. We're not turning you into a zombie. We're not brainwashing you. It's from an energetic standpoint that we reset the circuits so that your body is okay with the situation. It doesn't have that charge as we go along. And it's fascinating because we peel off layers of the emotion. And then the other technology you've mentioned before is the brain tap. So if people are dealing with PTSD or grief or loss or you name it, I mean, the brain tap is amazing because it uses light and sound and will create brain fitness that will actually change the brainwave patterns because we get stuck in this high beta stress mode and we can't get out, but the brain tap. So those are two techniques, or a technique and a technology that really deals with how the emotions impact the functioning of the body and not dealing with the psyche. And because people are all upset, you can do a neuroemotional technique and the brain tap, and people just become at ease with that. And it's powerful. It's fascinating to do. It's
So
amazing.
let's see if I've got it straight. So you're saying that 95% of everything we do, we're just on autopilot, and that's why sometimes we talk without thinking or do without thinking, or we just think that we think in our brain that this is just the way we are.
Right? Exactly. I mean, the body deals in repetition, in patterns. I mean, if you're going to go to the gym and make changes, you do it on a regular basis. And the language of the body is frequency. So if we're always driving to work the same day, the same way every day, our nervous system is used to going up the hill, taking the right, going straight, getting the light, take a left, we go here, right? I mean, the nervous system gets entrained with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Totally makes sense.
fascinating is that even though the brain regulates the rest of the body, it can't regulate it itself and it gets stuck in these patterns. So for example, if people have issues with sleeping, it's because they're stuck in high beta stress waves and they can't get into the deep delta waves that are the sleep waves.
So if they want to get into the deep delta, do you have, if they email you, will you email them a link that they can try?
Yes.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
email
people
it.
can, yeah, people can email me and I can send them, they can try it out on their phone or their tablet. There's a whole headset. I should have it here. I do have it just over here. But, it's for your eyes and your ears. It looks like a virtual reality. And you just light and the sound used binaural beats, and it actually changes brainwaves.
Well, we, as you know, and I know, we don't sell on this program, but we just want to help people. So if they want to try it out, there's no obligation. You're going to email them the link. They try it out. That's it. You're not going to call them or anything. Great.
Nope, not at all. But they can try it out, and especially now with so much stress going on with this Budweiser stuff, that the brain waves get here, and so even just to get us into the alpha and theta waves, the theta are your meditative light sleep brain waves, and it's incredibly powerful. So
And speaking of Budweiser, I just want everybody to know, we think Budweiser's amazing. We're not trying to talk negative about Budweiser.
No, we were just using another
Probably
word.
we're drinking more Budweiser now.
I think people know when we talk Budweiser what we're talking about.
So we don't, nothing against Budweiser.
No,
We
no,
like
not at all. It's
Budweiser
just-
too, so,
It's just our form of transformational vocabulary.
yeah, we're trying to be good, yeah. So we love Budweiser.
Yeah.
So, well, okay, so you're telling us we have to talk with better words, be more positive, spend the time with our families, right? Don't eat any
Right.
more sugar.
Yeah.
Cocoa, chocolate, dark chocolate's good,
Organic dark chocolate, right?
right? We're gonna email you because we want to know the electromagnetic bucket that you use, right?
Right.
In case we
Right,
want to buy one
airplanes,
ourselves or in our area, right?
Right.
And then we're gonna email you if we want the link to the brain tap so we can try that and calm ourselves down at night, right?
Correct.
Or morning or any time of day, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
What else can you think of that you gave us some tips on?
You know, one of the other things that I have been working with that I think is one of the most powerful nutritional aspects deals with hemp oil. You know, we hear about hemp or hemp extracts, CBD, CBG, but the whole thing about hemp and why you hear about it so much is my understanding is not that it's treating conditions, but we have more endocannabinoid receptors, which is what hemp is, in our body than any other receptors, more than nerve receptors, more than hormone receptors. And they're distributed along the nervous system and the acupuncture system, which seems to indicate that our bodies evolve within the endocannabinoid system. And the whole purpose for the endocannabinoid system is to support the healing system, the parasympathetic system in the body. And so by taking that also helps. And the two things with the hemp extract that I work with is number one, it has CBG as in George, in addition to CBD as in David. And CBG works with the brain and is neuroprotective and neuroregenerative and anti-inflammatory in the brain. And because of the delivery system, it starts affecting the brain in 35 milliseconds. So again, with all the stress going on in the world these days, what we're trying to do is help to bring the body back to balance. We're trying to balance the nervous system. And so this hemp extract is amazing. I mean, I've worked with people with dementia and autism. It's been amazing, and aches and pains, and not making any claims about it or anything. But, you know, when you start bringing the body back to balance and support the healing system in the body can heal. The body comes to ease as opposed to dis-ease. So, you know, the hemp extract is also a very powerful tool to help bring the body back to balance too.
Does that come in the form of powder or how do we take
No,
that?
this is a tincture, like a tincture. It's in a liquid form, and it's what's called a nanosonicated liposomal, which means nano is very small particles. Sonicated is the sound process that it puts all these ingredients in a liposome, like it's a fat cell. We also use other terpenes, which are the smelling substances that you smell in plants. And so this whole entourage effect puts into a little fat cell, same fat that's in our cell membrane. So you just take it and hold it underneath your tongue, and in 35 milliseconds is it's short, right? It's
You
a
put
short.
a drop under your tongue?
Yeah, I put 1 milliliter under there, and it absorbs. And
Is that expensive?
no, I mean, it depends. You know, some people think. I mean, you can go to a gas station and buy some hemp stuff for $15 or something like that. But what kind of stuff do you think you're going to be buying in the gas station, right? I mean, it's
Can we go to your website and buy some?
yes, and I do have a
I mean,
link.
we're not selling, but like I
We're not
want
selling?
some, so
Yeah.
I need to know
Yeah.
where to go. Mhm.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing for everybody because I think, you know, hemp is a sacred plant that can help our health. I mean, I think it's going to help, you know, as far as the planet. I mean, let's just say toilet paper. I mean, if we made it out of hemp, you know, and we can get clothing, we can build houses, we can, you know, food. I mean, you know, so hemp and our bodies evolved with it. You know, all the way back to the Egyptian and everything else. So the hemp is a really amazing thing that I think people are starting to realize more and more, especially in these times of stress and how it helps bring the body back.
Right. So you get the hemp extract, you take it under your tongue once a day?
I do it twice. We have we have one that's called Focus. So in the morning I take Focus. At night we have a product called Calm. So I take that before I go to sleep at night and sleep and yeah. So
Okay, well, we have, unless you can think of something else that you'd like to bring to the table, we can have you back in a couple of weeks. You may have some more ideas.
yeah, I'm always available. If people have questions, they can send me emails, whatever I can help. I'm on a mission to help this planet, and people are stressed out a lot these days. And there are things we can do. Hopefully, the message I've brought to people is that there's hope and that there are things that they can control. And if they focus on those things, they can make a big change in their lives.
Holistic things, natural.
Yeah, natural.
Yeah. I mean, everybody needs to listen to what the CDC says and what their local health department says. We know that, do that. But these are just some healthful, holistic, alternative ways to help keep yourself healthy, right?
Right, exactly.
Okay, great. Well,
Keep your body in balance.
What?
I said, keep your body in balance.
Yes. I'm not going to say anything else negative. I'm going to get the foot bath, the electromagnet thing. I'm going to listen to the brain tap.
Brain tap is powerful.
And sugar.
Yeah.
I have to throw the caramels away. Is that what you're telling me?
Exactly. It's like, you know what? You'll like it afterward. Afterwards, you won't be able to go back and eat that stuff again.
Okay.
Man, how did I ever do that?
Okay. Thank you so much, doctor. We appreciate your knowledge. Come
My
back
pleasure.
soon.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.